pre-corona, $3.5 billion, more or less, let's call it $4 billion, of government money wasn't spent on these kind of contracts because not enough people bid on them. So they're just like you. You're not going to do it? Nobody does it. Nobody. Why? Because they're all pendejos. I've been saying this for 29 years, and I got this many people. Because you don't really deserve in your mind that you should get rich. I know you don't believe me. Some of you are starting to believe me. Because I'm going to show you example after example after example. There's gold on the streets. Bird nests on the ground that you don't pick up. They never followed up. They never got a second contract. They never did it again. Why? I know why. Because you're worthless pieces of shit that you shouldn't have. I mean, I'm telling the truth. Why else wouldn't you? Because you don't think you deserve it. But it's the fucking truth. You know, all the people that you put up as icons, i.e. the flavor of the day right now is Elon Musk. He's an asshole. You want their money, but you don't want their sacrifices. Steve Jobs was a prick who I personally knew. You want to change the world like he did, but you don't want to make the fucking sacrifices he did. And go on and on and on. So you're delusional. That's why you're as thick as two short planks. But that means you're a thick shit. Perception is reality. He faked it until he made it. See, there's a difference between a suspect and a prospect. If she even hesitates, I'd walk away. Yes, of course I would. If I don't get that kind of response, adios. You guys would try to cajole her into it. Convince her, bullshit her, lie to her. That's not what this model is based on. This model is based on raw fucking emotions. They either want to sell the motherfucker or they don't want to sell the motherfucker. Period. This isn't something we negotiate. It looks like I'm talking to 4-year-olds in kindergarten. Why are you all looking like your mother just died? But I've been pulling the trigger all my life. Some of you in this room have never pulled the trigger. Some of you in this room have never been screamed at. Some of you in this room have never been disciplined by your parents, spanking. Some of you in this room have never been in a fist fight in grammar school or whatever, school. Some of you in this room wouldn't say fucking shit if it was drooling out your mouth. That's all got to change. There's certain things we're dying for in this world still. It's just like the test that we give you. 98% of you fail. The answer that you give me back is that I would try to ascertain what his state of mind was before he spit in my wife's face. Now, what in the fuck does that have to do with anything? Whether he was having a good day or not. He spit in your old lady's face, you fucking little cunts. But that's where we are, and that's why Homo sapiens threw, which enforces and validates the QLA model. The only difference is we teach you how to be slightly less afraid than the sellers, but you're still a cunt. You still squat the pee. You still ought to use tampons. We used to have tampons in vagina cream shit. We even had a webinar to show you how to use it. We can't shame you. You've got no fucking shame left in your fucking body because you're such a cunt. Fuck you. I'm racist. I'm anti-everything. And then he said, I have never met anybody in exploration with more integrity than Danny Peña. And the rest, I was just sliding down the hill of money to paradise. What have you done to save the fucking world? Nothing. You ought to take this offer and run to the fucking bank like a thief in the fucking night. You miserable piece of shit. You won't do that. And I'm not recommending you do that. But may God strike me dead with a lightning bolt right now if that's not how I sell. So how do I get away with it? That's the real question. Because the truth will always out. And down deep side in your southern racist background, you know what I'm saying is the fucking truth. The Jew from Canada back there knows I'm telling the fucking truth. You may not like hearing it the way I say it, but you can't argue with me that it's not true. And that's why I've gotten away with it for all these decades. There is some place I draw the line. 40 years ago, one of the big icons who's still around said, you're not tough enough, Dan. Otherwise, you would have been the first trillionaire on the planet. And if I'm not tough enough, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, what the fuck are you? I just want you to move a little closer to me, and you'll be super rich. Sensitivity equals fucking poverty. The day you leave here is the first day of the rest of your life. But you're here because your parents weren't worth a shit. That's the bottom line. They weren't worth a fucking shit. And I'm saddened by some of you have great relationships with your parents. That's too fucking bad. You can't save families without saying lies. We have a 60% divorce rate. We stopped counting at 60%. We've got people in this room right now, their families have left them just because they came to the fucking seminar. Before they even came, they were ostracized from their family, their wife and kids. Now, I would assume that person is serious. How did Hitler get a fifth of the world to go along with his bullshit? He walked into Austria, he didn't fire a bullet to take over Austria. How? How is this possible? Because there is a deep, ugly underbelly to the human race. And I'm not saying we don't have to go all the way that way. But what you have to find is your deep underbelly. And so there'd be a young lieutenant, as they say, with a whistle and a riding crop and a pistol. And he'd say, lads, are we ready? Beep, beep! and they go over the top. One's gonna be killed, one's gonna be maimed, and one's gonna live. Why would those kids do that? Training and training and training. If you train and practice, you'll be multi-billionaires. But you're too fucking lazy. You're all lazy for a different reason, and it's got nothing to do with balls. It's called discipline, and your parents fucked you. I want to make a comment about the myths that surround the seminar, or misconceptions, or just plain fucking stupidity. I'm going to say it again slow. You only have to learn about 25 or 30 phrases to be on that wall. The material is helter-skelter, so you have to read the whole motherfucker to get the answer to any of your questions. So the seminar you're seeing today is not a fart in the wind of the seminar that I first came out with in May of 1993. I don't know why anybody comes to the seminar. I say this because everything you're going to hear, with a couple of exceptions, is on my website. Free. And since some of you had to beg, borrow, and almost kill to get here, you're desperate. And you only come to me for one of two reasons: inspiration and desperation. Before you go into the abyss. We're the last saloon, we're the last bar, we're the last whorehouse in the last town on the edge of the earth. Because you fucking kids have tried every motherfucking thing known to life before you come here. And if you think it's your grandma that got cremated, those are her ashes, you're a fucking moron. And if you don't think Fido's not in there, you're fucking brain dead. Why? How can you believe this shit? Why? It's one of the whys I ask. And do you think they clean the motherfucking ovens out every time they... Come on, where are you people from, Mars? And now that the Bank of England is screwing around to try to keep from going bankrupt, I said in April of in 2020, Bank of England came within 100,000 pounds of going bankrupt. Am I the only motherfucker that read that? And now they're screwing around trying to save the pension scheme in the UK. And they're not doing a very good job about it because the dipshits invest in gilts in the pension schemes here. Wrongfully. The UK is the problem in Europe. It's not the solution. But they didn't, as they say in Scotland, did they? So now they're having to pay the price to action for no action. They took no action and they're going to have to suffer. Praise Allah. It couldn't be any better for this model in Europe and particularly in the UK, and it couldn't be any better in the US. And then I thought all my birthdays had come at once with Corona fucking motherfucking Corona. And then we got higher interest rates, which I've been preaching about for years. What the fuck? I must be dreaming. This is not real. Accident, serendipity, or fucking destiny. We're no longer the lowest interest rates in 5,000 years. And you all fucked up. You didn't do cock. But now we're the lowest interest rates of 3,500 years, which is plenty good enough. If you pull the trigger, this model worked at 15% interest rates. We're going to see much higher interest rates. The market hasn't hit its bottom, and I'll talk about crypto fuck later. It's like an orgasmic experience, seeing that fucking thing fall on its fucking face. And who told you? This man told you. But that's the only fucking good that's going to come in your fucking lifetimes out of crypto fuck. Now, my disdain for crypto fuck isn't quite as bad as Charlie the Munger, who says it's rat poison squared. I don't know how you square rat poison, but I'm not going to disagree with the old man who's 97, 98 years old. But we know what he means, don't we? The stock market shows that a lot of these stocks are down 20, 30, 40, 50%, because that's what the market is telling us, that those industries are going to go down. And crypto has not been the savior that everybody thought it was going to be. So the valuation, they should have sold before Corona. They should have sold before the war. They should have sold before when Dan was yelling the lowest interest rates in 5,000 fucking years. Oil was hot because the North Sea saved Maggie Thatcher's government from bankruptcy. Well, I didn't have to go Google fuck. I jumped on it and stuck my 1-inch dick in a 1/2-inch hole like I took a shit. You can't do that. It's not balls. It has nothing to do with balls. So all these things I've done, I don't even think about. Just as Nick, he doesn't think about it, right? Why do you think I show you these motherfucking films? Fuck! And it's all this by accident. If you're stupid enough to think it's all by accident, you deserve to stay poor. And they're all going to say, follow the steps and follow what Dan says like the word of motherfucking God. And whenever I deviated from his 7 commandments, you fail. And then you go on Reddit and say QLA failed. Instead of saying, I'm just a worthless cunt piece of shit, I should have rolled down the inside of my mama's leg, and I have brought no value to the planet at all. Nobody in this room, including the medical doctors, has brought one fucking thing to the planet. Is the planet any better off from anybody in this fucking room? No. That's the real world. We have PhDs, medical doctors, a lot of multi-degrees, and then we got a bunch of thick shits with 40 IQs. Couldn't even make it through junior college. Couldn't even make it through high school. You've all got a reason for it, right? Those reasons, you've been deluding yourself for years and years and years, but they make no sense. On that wall, we have people with 80 IQs and 180 IQs. The 80 IQ did a 400 million pound deal. The 180 IQ did a 40 million pound deal. And then there's you, this band of renown. And there are such things as stupid questions. So think carefully. I know that's be hard for most of you, but if you ask me a question you should have known because you studied the stuff that I told you to study beforehand, I will jump down your fucking throat and rip out your fucking guts. Because I'm gonna teach you what it's like to make a lot of money in the real world. Not the little chicken shit world you've been floating around in. Just imagine, for a moment, daydream, if you had no limits to your abilities. On that happy note, YouTube, and fuck off.